Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart feel loved. God, the holidays have been good. I'm glad I'm back here. Let's see what I'm reviewing today. Oh, yeah. Shitty Will Ferrell movie. Yeah. Hello and welcome back to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of Daddy's Home. Non-spoiler version of this, it's not worth seeing in theaters. I'm not going to give it a skip it or a fuck it rating. I'm going to give it a Netflix or Redbox rating. There was an idea here, and it could have been good. There are good things about this. The chemistry between Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg is much improved over the other guys, and even some of their funny jokes are legitimately humorous. There's a lot of setup for some of these jokes that have good payoffs at the end, and I can honestly say it's not the worst comedy I've seen this year. I mean, if we compare this to another comedy, Get Hard, I didn't get a chance to see that one in theaters, but I did see it on DVD, which you could take any of those scenes in that movie and just rearrange them. Unlike that movie, this movie had a structure where everything actually did escalate. There's a clear-cut pattern here, and moving these things around would not be possible. So I will give it the structure, I will give it the chemistry, and I'll even give it its funny moments. So my final verdict, for those who don't want spoilers, is wait for Netflix or Redbox. It just is not worth spending money in theaters on. Now, for those who want to stay with spoilers, what's the story of Daddy's Home? Well, Mark Wahlberg is father to two lovely children who he basically abandoned a long, long time ago. In come Will Ferrell, who married the mother and now really wants to be their daddy. And he starts to get somewhere until daddy comes home. And now he wants to be part of the family. So he starts basically manipulating the situation to try to force Will Ferrell out, but Will Ferrell pushes back, and it's kind of a tug-of-war movie. They're definitely competing with each other, and they're trying to outdo one another the entire movie. Sometimes this does work hilariously. There's a really funny scene, slapstick joke, where Will Ferrell proves that he can actually skateboard, which, yeah, I'm going to call bullshit on it too, but it does lead to something funny. But, yeah, that's basically the whole movie. It's just them butting heads back and forth, and it ends exactly like you think it's going to. It's very predictable that way. I'm not going to say that this movie actually had much of a structure. It had a structure. I'm not going to say that it had much of a twist at the end, per se. It just was very overly cartoonish. The actual payoff is just basically they realize neither one of them are perfect dads. It's by them working together that the kids get their future set, blah, 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 and things get better. Will Ferrell is the organized, responsible one, whereas Mark Wahlberg is the one who is strong, tough, and basically teaches them the harder lessons of life. Okay, fine. I can deal with that. It's predictable, but it was still a fun ride. For the most part. Okay, not even for the most part. About 1 out of every 3 jokes in this movie falls very horribly flat. And I mean, it's like craters. Like, they paused it and, oh, is there supposed to be laughing now? Oh, okay. And I imagine if I hadn't been in a theater that was actually pretty well packed, we went on Christmas with the family, hence the get up at the very beginning. If I didn't go to a theater that was so packed, it probably wouldn't have been as good. Just saying. There's an audience reaction. When more people are laughing, you feel inclined to laugh. And that's the thing about comedies, is that they always feel hit or miss, because what I find hysterical, people next to me probably won't. But if I'm inside of a theater with the majority of people who seem to find this hysterical, except for when I go to Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, I'll end up chuckling at things I know are stupid, aren't really all that funny. But, audience reaction. So, yeah, I can't... parts in this I found funny. Maybe it was because of the audience. But yeah, 1 out of every 3 jokes had me just, my head in my hands. Did my mom really waste money on this? It just didn't work for me. But the jokes that actually did work showed a lot of heart and even effort into them. Aforementioned skateboarding joke. After Will Ferrell basically proves how responsible of a person he is, not by buying presents or flaunting his superiority. No. He just takes Mark Wahlberg around for the next week, showing him exactly what he does. Volunteering for school groups, volunteering for scouts and community basketball, and helping not just their kids, but all the kids that he's ever interacted with, showing just how much he truly knows about the aquariums and the tree rings and whatnot. You actually do see a good sense of this guy's character, which I'll talk to you about in just a second, but it just... The payoff of that is that Mark Wahlberg ends up not only finishing the freaking treehouse that Will Ferrell had been working on, but he also turns the entire backyard into like this park with a full-on half pipe and everything, which Will Ferrell finally kind of snaps and he's like, "Oh, you picked the wrong sport to show off with." And he goes upstairs in his room and he pulls out of his closet, blowing the dust off it, is like what looks to be 20-year-old skateboard. And you're like, oh my god, is he actually going to do this? And he does. And you can see him like kind of fighting the choice, but also wanting to live up to the spirit of what the kids want. And he actually starts skateboarding until he ends up getting so much air that he literally runs into power lines because the thing was not positioned very well. His heart stops. And Mark Wahlberg has a really funny scene where he's legitimately ignoring him while he's flatlining here to teach the kids basic first aid. It's crazy, it's out there, but it's actually legitimately funny, and it was well built up to. I appreciate that. It was good. Another thing that this movie really did good was the actual characterizations of both Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. You can tell that these two characters were very well fleshed out. Will Ferrell is not his usual self, although you do see shades of it, especially in the basketball scene you probably seen in the trailer where he gets drunk and he ends up hitting that cheerleader. He doesn't just hit that cheerleader. He keeps grabbing balls and keeps trying to take the shot to make it. He ends up hitting a kid in a wheelchair and one of the coaches before they have to tackle him down and drag him out of the stadium. Which, okay, the joke ran on too long. That's the big problem with 90% of Will Ferrell's jokes, is they just go on too long. But the character of Whitaker, I think his name was, that Will Ferrell plays, is clearly a very, very responsible adult who is a little too emotional, but it's all good-hearted emotion. He does start getting into the spirit. There's even a really, really good scene where Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell actually start talking to the kid, I can't even remember, just boy kid, we'll just call him that, because that's basically all he was, about being bullied. Now, they had a small discussion before, but it didn't work out, which causes this one where they're literally training him to fight back. And Will Ferrell has a nice, wonderful speech with the kid about how he just needs to basically deck this person so that they know not to mess with him anymore. And yeah, it's actually very well seen. Good. It's a very good scene. I don't like what happens afterwards because it feels like the joke's going too long, but after they're about to end the scene, Will Ferrell jumps up, wait, that wasn't right. And he ends up saying, yeah, I actually just lied. And he tells him the truth about how he's basically a little bitch. And he always took it and he's always been running away for everything. And he wishes he had someone like Mark Wahlberg as a dad to show him how to fight so he didn't end up the way he was. The kid's response was, so basically what you're telling me is if I don't fight them and I just run away, I end up a pushy little bitch like you? Not so elegantly, but yes. Oh, in that case, let's fight! And yeah, it's actually a good, heartfelt moment. The joke runs on too long, which is the problem with it, but you really do see the character of Will Ferrell in that scene. He's not willing to lie to these kids. He's not willing to bend the truth. He's not willing to. He wants to be an honest to God, good father. And it comes through his entire performance, which almost makes some of his jokes that go on too long forgivable. Because, yeah, he does, like that scene, there's just scenes where he rambles so much. And it's not funny ramble either. It's not legitimately clever ramble. Like, to compare him to a movie I just saw recently, Poe from Star Wars. It's legitimately just saying a bunch of stuff fast, hoping that it's going to make some kind of impactful joke. No, it doesn't work. Just stop. End the scene. End the scene. And much like how well fleshed out Will Ferrell's character is, Mark Wahlberg has a very well fleshed out character as well. He is super exotic. He's muscular. He's awesome. He's got the big dick. But he can't handle monotony. He can't handle the day-to-day, stupid things like got to stay within the cones when you're driving to pick up your kid. Oh, well, you got to drive out of there because your kid's not ready. But the person in front of you won't move, yet the people behind you are yelling to move. He can't handle that. It's a different kind of stress that he's legitimately not used to and not ready for. So, you have Will Ferrell, who's an expert at handling that, but can't handle the actual confrontation side of things. And you got Mark Wahlberg, who can't handle the other side. There's a good balance here. I'm not going to say that this is bad by any stretch of the imagination, because these two characters work well off of each other from a writing standpoint. The actors are working off each other perfectly. And when they both break down, they legitimately break down. They lead to funny moments and have funny jokes. But the big problem with this movie is they're only telling about a third of the jokes between the two of them. The rest of the jokes in this movie come from side characters. So many goddamn side characters. Girth or Griff, I can't even remember. He was played by a black dude who's just sitting there playing the race card, not even making it funny. He's just, I'll edit that out. No, I won't. But it just legitimately isn't funny when this guy keeps interjecting into their conversations and, hey, you got the yams? He's actually got a point there. There's so many dancing movies, it could just work out. Or even worse, Will Ferrell's boss at the Smooth Jazz Panda station just goes off into these random stories that have nothing to do with fucking anything. And they just go on for like 5 minutes talking about these things. They're not funny stories. They're not. They're sexist, misogynistic, and completely unlikable. And Will Ferrell's like, yes, that had absolutely nothing to do. That makes you a horrible person. And that's supposed to be funny? No, it's not. It legitimately is stupid. It's, I can't take it. I really can't. It was just, they just ruined the movie. Having any chance of me saying that this was worth seeing in theaters. And hell, I probably would even give it a skip it rating if not for the fact it's the holidays. And I'm feeling merciful. There's legitimate good parts about this film. And there are legitimate bad parts that people can freak out about. It's not nearly as bad as some of the critics will make it out to be. And I can imagine some of the critics who haven't reviewed this yet and just seeing their reaction to it. And it's just, yeah, I know what you're going to say. It's not that bad, but I can see why it would bug you and why it just doesn't work. So, yeah, my final verdict for this nice quick episode is basically wait till Redbox, wait to Netflix. It's just not worth seeing in theaters. This needed to be written a little bit better, to cut out some of the filler, maybe even get rid of a few of these stupid side characters. And you needed a director who was willing to reel Will Ferrell in and say, okay, you're milking the joke too much. We'll fix it in post. You just needed someone who's willing to say, yeah, Mr. Ferrell, it just isn't, you're going too far. Dial it back a bit, it'll be much funnier. But with all that said, I can still say it had good parts in it. So yeah, that's it for me. Have you seen Daddy's Home? What did you think about it? Tell me what you thought about it in the comments below, and maybe we'll get some healthy discussion going. And if you want to see some more of my more recent videos, I'll have links to those right down here in annotations. If you want to see some more of my playlists and check out my channel, I'll have those linked right up here in cards and annotations. And yeah, stay tuned because I'm working on a couple of top 10 lists for the end of the year. Top 10 best list, top 10 worst list, top 10 most disappointing, and top 10 most surprising. Those I hope to have out by the second week of January, if not earlier, but can't guarantee everything since I'm actually not putting a cutoff date like I thought I was going to. So, yeah, be sure to subscribe for more. Link in the description to my Facebook page. Be sure to like it there and follow me on Twitch. And I'll see you all next time.